Since it was the day of preparation, the Jews did not want the bodies left on the cross during the Sabbath, especially because that Sabbath was a day of great solemnity. So they asked Pilate to have the legs of the crucified men broken and the bodies removed. Then the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who had been crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Instead, one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and at once blood and water came out. He who saw this has testified, so that you may also believe. His testimony is true, and he knows that he tells the truth. These things occurred so that the scripture might be fulfilled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again another passage of scripture says, they will look on the one they have pierced. After these things, Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, though a secret one because of his fear of the Jews, asked Pilate to let him take away the body of Jesus. Pilate gave him permission, so he came and removed his body. Nicodemus, who had at first come to Jesus by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes weighing about 100 pounds. They took the body of Jesus and wrapped it with the spices in linen cloths, according to the burial custom of the Jews. Now there was a garden in the place where he was crucified, and in the garden there was a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. And so, because it was the Jewish day of preparation and the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. We can assume that on the first Holy Saturday the disciples were hiding together indoors in the house where they were staying in Jerusalem with the doors locked, because that's where we read that the risen Jesus appeared to them on the evening of the first Easter Sunday. They were most likely fearful that what had happened to Jesus could also happen to them, so they locked themselves away for fear that they would be rounded up and arrested for being followers of Jesus. They would have also been feeling immense shock and bereavement that this man that they had left everything to follow, their Lord, their teacher, their friend and inspiration, was dead. The one who they had declared to be the Messiah, the one who they hoped would restore the fortunes of their nation, was dead. In all our lives we sometimes experience Holy Saturday times when all we see is death rather than resurrection, a dark tunnel with no light at the end of it, the valley of the shadow of death with no green pastures in sight. In many ways our nation is in a Holy Saturday moment at this time. Many of us, like the disciples, are locked away in our houses. There is fear and anxiety, pain and bereavement. We are straining our eyes to see if there is any sign of a way out or a way ahead, but all remains uncertain. Looking back at the Easter story now, we know that all that the disciples could do as they locked themselves away and experienced the anguish of losing their friend was to wait for Easter morning. And sometimes that's all we can do as well. When we are in a night of pain, we wait for joy to come in the morning. So I hope that the message we can all take from Holy Week and Easter this year is hope. Hope that, as our Queen said to us, better days will return. We will meet with each other in person again. And that we would know that with our God, After death, there will be resurrection. After sin, there will be forgiveness. After darkness, there will be light. And that we can wait for these things when we don't see them. Thank you for watching these Holy Week reflections. Thank you to everyone who has left a comment or a like. My prayer for us all is that in our lives and in our nation, the powers of pain and death will be overcome by God's power of resurrection and new life. Amen.